So recently I had the chance to interview 5 different high ticket closers, inbound closers, and I wanted to share my insights on what makes a really great candidate and what makes a really crappy candidate as well. So if you guys are looking for a high ticket closing gig or you're looking for a client for inbound closing, make sure to watch this video. It'll really help you kind of prepare for your interviews. Let's get it. Have you ever heard of the saying, great people are hard to find? Well, recently I've actually had to hire for my current client as well. You know, what's really interesting being a consultant, a high ticket sales consultant or inbound closing consultant as well, is that I get to work with a variety of different clients as well. And through my experience as a closer, I've kind of seen traits of what makes a really great closer and what makes a really not so great closer as well. There's a lot of factors in terms of integrity and all this sort of stuff. But one of the things that we actually recently did was we actually interviewed 5 different closers from this one agency. We paid about $9,000 for it. And believe it or not, a lot of the applicants weren't that good. But out of the applicants that we did select 2. And I wanted to kind of go over what are some of the common traits that we look for as well when we're hiring as a closer, and more importantly, what can you do as a brand new closer that you might have no experience whatsoever. And so I want to talk about the 3 things that I look for in a closing offer and what you can do if you have no experience. So let's get into it. So let's talk about the first thing. It's professionalism. Believe it or not, back in pharmacy school, our professors used to harp on professionalism. Looking presentable, shirt and tie, making sure your white coat was clean, ironed, and all this sort of stuff. But not only just your presentation, just the way that you carry yourself too. Do you have integrity? Do you have professional integrity? Do you deliver on your word? Can people trust you as well? All these things are very, very essential, especially when you're dealing with healthcare. But in the business world, the same principles apply to professionalism. Can people trust you? Do you look presentable as well? Believe it or not, I interviewed a bunch of closers and we would ask them certain questions, and for some reason they just thought it was appropriate, maybe because I'm young too, I'm a little bit ratchet, where they thought it was fine to talk about popping. We asked about their sales experience, and this guy, he was talking about popping bottles at a club with and stuff like that too. And it's yo, I get where you're coming from, but this is not the time or place. And it makes me question, can you present yourself in front of these clients who are trusting you with their business as well? Do you have the courtesy for that? And then we also have people who were kind of quirky and weird too. They would wear their mask, but they didn't have anyone else in the house. I know we're in COVID. I know that mask wearing is important, but at the same time, it's when we're talking on Zoom and I can't hear you through your mask, that is a problem. And if I just think how you do everything is how you do anything. And if you're talking to clients as well, do you have the ability to actually do your job as well? So it's just certain things like that. And it just goes to show you, in this freelance world, it really does not take that much to look presentable, have a clean back when you're interviewing as well, telling relevant stories, and just being professional. No, you're not talking about strippers, about your closing experience or anything like that. Believe it or not, people think it's really appropriate talking about that sort of stuff. So that's the first thing I looked for in the people that I spoke to as well, is professionalism. And the 2 candidates that we spoke to, one was a former pharmacist and he was very professional, and we also had someone from Malaysia who was really, really great too. And she came in with a smile. She was also very positive, and she was very responsive with any requests that we had as well. So those 2 were solid picks. That's one of the things that we look forward in our inbound closers as well. The second thing that we look for is experience as well. Especially in inbound closing, there's so many different offers, there's so many different industries. It can be often difficult to each and every offer is different. So if you're selling real estate, it's very different from personal development versus biz op versus digital marketing services. You get the point. They're all slightly differently nuanced as well. And one of the major things that I was looking for in a professional agency service as well, because we paid money for for pretty much a headhunter to come in for closers, is that experience matters. And I was looking for people with relevant digital marketing experience because we're selling for a email marketing service as well. And it's surprising, right? And sometimes when you don't have experience for something, it's kind of like making sure that you kind of know what you're selling as well, and having some sort of experience of the nuance of the language, the jargon, kind of like the industry terms of the industry you're going into. And I get it, maybe you don't have experience, but experience really matters because it just shortens the curve of how fast someone can learn. Sure, people talk about learning bad habits and all that sort of stuff, but guess what? When you have experience, you're able to adapt a lot quicker. Here's an example with me. I recently signed on with this real estate client and I knew nothing about real estate, but within 2 weeks, I got a feel of the offer and I was actually top closer. I closed 30K in one day or in 1 week and made over 4,000, almost 4,200 in 1 week as well. And so I was able to do that because of my previous experience closing as well. So, experience does matter. No matter what anyone says, it absolutely matters. Guess what? If you don't have experience, this next thing will be the most important thing that you can do. And what was really interesting about all the candidates that we did hire is that none of them had that specific experience that we were looking for. Ideally, one of them had like a little bit of digital marketing experience, so we considered that application. But, it's just really the third thing that I'm going to be talking about that's going to make the difference between you not getting hired and you getting hired for your first client as well. The third thing we're going to talk about is something called proactive resourcefulness. Proactive resourcefulness really is making sure that, you're doing your research up front. Half the time when I ask people, hey, do you know what we sell? Do you know what kind of solutions that we offer? Do you know what industry we're in? Some people didn't even go through our sales page. Some people didn't even go through our products and all that sort of stuff. And it just shows me that they're essentially lazy. Maybe they're not really lazy, but in terms of preparation and doing their due diligence, how you do everything is how you do anything as well. And then it's like, how can I expect these people to proactively help the leads that are coming that we are paying for on the phone? How can I expect them to do their job, if they're not on top of their game? Half these people knew nothing about email marketing solutions. And that was a real disappointment as well. But part of proactive resourcefulness too and it ties into professionalism a little bit, is coming in with a winning attitude, coming in with solutions to a problem. So for example, if you have no experience whatsoever, what are some of the things that you can do? Sure, you can cold call. You can also learn how to set deals. And if you don't know how to set deals, I actually cover in my masterclass. You can go kaizenclosing.com/masterclass. And a lot of the students that I bring on in my coaching program, I teach them how to set deals. If you don't know how to set a deal, basically what that is basically you're collecting all the information, you're doing a discovery call and making sure that you filter out the tire kickers so that you can pass them off to a closer, right? Who can close up, wrap the deal. And so we're optimizing the time for the closer and we're not wasting any additional resources for them. They're spending more time converting and you are spending your time filtering through all the dead leads as well. It's a really great way to add value without costing the business anything as well, right? So this is what I recommend if you are inbound closing. I never really recommend the cold calling thing. I'm not a power dialer myself, but coming with a solution that really, really helps. When we were considering all the applicants, the 2 applicants that stood out to me, they came in with a winning attitude. They actually did so much research. They looked at all our testimonials. They looked at our video as well. And it was really, really cool what they did as well. And that is something I look for, proactive resourcefulness. That is the third thing that most of these companies do look for when they're hiring for inbound closers as well. So when you're applying to these gigs, or if you get extended an interview, make sure to keep these 3 things in mind. Be professional, talk about your relevant experience. Don't lie. If you don't have experience, be proactively resourceful too, and come up with solutions, or think about the objections that someone might have when they're interviewing you as well. That is super key. And guess what? Maybe you're thinking about, how do I get a high ticket client? How do I get a client in general for our inbound sales and all that sort of stuff? Before you do that, what I want you to do is think about what are the pros and cons of inbound closing or high ticket closing. Is it for me? Well, if you're this person, I actually have a full video on that specifically. I'll leave it in the cards as well. You can watch that and it'll give you a really good idea whether you want to pursue this field or not. Anyways, thank you for watching. Stay bold, stay kick-ass. I will talk to you guys later. Peace.